So this is what the program's going to look like tonight. We're going to go through the city programs and services. First we're going to hear from the police chief about public safety and a briefing on that. We've been hearing a lot about multifamily issues, multifamily housing. So let's talk about that. Let's figure out what the status of that is and the direction the city is heading. And also a public works update. This is summertime, so one of the things I thought was very important is you know where the projects are in our city so you can plan accordingly, and also just to give you an idea of what's next and what we're up to and why. And then we're going to hear, I'll give a brief presentation about Federal Way today and beyond about where we're heading as a city, and then the most important part is neighborhood feedback. So let's go ahead and get started. Your city officials and staff. We've got our city council members. Would our city council please stand up? We've got Deputy Mayor Gene Burbidge, Councilmember Deanie Duclos, Councilmember Susan Honda, Councilmember Mark Kopang, Martin Moore, and Bob Selsky. Let's give them a big round of applause. They work really hard for us. And they are great policy partners. Every one of the things that we're talking about accomplishments and the things we're working on, the council has been an integral part of that. And they're just very, very valuable in our community. And they speak for you and work for you. City management team, can I please have all senior staff stand up with we've got our folks that are going to be, can you wave your hands around? Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much for your work. Also, I want to say a special thank to Mike Ziak here on the camera. A few years back, we had been talking as a council and as a community that we really needed to utilize Channel 21 better. And I don't know how many people have ever seen us utilize or show these kinds of meetings, whether it's 4th of July or our MLK celebration or whatever it is. We've had Mike and his team record these things, and we play them on 21, so people maybe who couldn't make it tonight can actually see these presentations, and that's really important. All right. At this time, we're going to hear from the police chief, and we're going to hear about a briefing, and then we'll go into our next session. So let's hear it for your police chief, Andy Wong.
All right, good evening, everyone. As stated, my name is Andy Wong. I'm the police chief here in Federal Way. We're very pleased to be with all of you this evening. First part, we'd like to share with you what we have done, what we're doing to build trust within our community, what we're doing to partner and to connect with our community. So some fun stuff, but we can't do it alone. We need the partnership in order for us to be successful as a police organization. I'm going to share with you crime statistical information. You're going to look at crime numbers in Reporting District 16, where this school and the surrounding neighborhood is located. Then I'm going to share crime numbers with you about Sector 1. Our city is divided into 4 sectors, and First Avenue, predominantly First Avenue West, is considered Sector 1, residential area. I'm going to share crime numbers with you there. And also I'm going to share with you the overall crime numbers. And lastly, there's clearly an uptick on gun violence in the region, and I'm going to share with you what we're doing to partner with other multi-jurisdictional organizations and what we're doing in Federal Way to make a positive impact. First, I want all of you to know, and you should be very proud, that your police department, the Federal Way Police Department, is a nationally accredited law enforcement agency. There's only we're one of 7 agencies in the state of Washington that have this distinction being nationally accredited. It's not easy to attain. That's why a lot of agencies don't pursue national accreditation, so we do that. Second, last year we launched a Coffee with a Cop event, and it's been hugely popular, well attended. We go to different neighborhoods within our city. People come to, and it's simply officers meeting with the residents, no agenda. And we got our next event coming up in July. Just follow us on our Facebook or Twitter, and we'll let you know. We'll publish something in the local newspaper as well. And the next thing, last year we launched a positive ticket program where officers actually issue tickets to kids for doing something positive. And it's been hugely popular. I'm going to show you a quick video because it's such fun to watch, and it went viral. It's been viewed by over 2 million people. We've been contacted by probably half a dozen agencies that also want to launch the same program. So I'll show you a quick video on that. This girl is absolutely adorable, but I don't know what happened with the PowerPoint, but she's our first recipient. She received ticket number 001. So here's our video here. This is Officer Thaddeus Hodge.
26, I copy that.
Federal Way Officer Thaddeus Hodge is out on patrol.
Shoplifts, thefts, vehicle prowls, things like that.
Typically, he's responding to crime, but today he's rewarding kids for doing something right.
There's a kid right there at the crosswalk waiting, so let's stop and have a talk with him. No, he didn't do anything wrong. The reason I'm here is because you're doing something right.
Today, Federal Way Police kicked off its positive ticket program, rewarding kids for making positive choices with a certificate and a coupon for things like a movie. And the coupons are donated, so there's no cost to taxpayers.
What it's going to do is give our officers just one more tool, one more opportunity to open up the conversation and make that first connection with a young person in our city.
Back on the streets, Officer Hodge makes another stop.
I saw you walking with your sister, picking her up, and I think that was a positive thing. So is it okay if I give you a little reward for doing what you're doing?
Cecilia Navarro walks her younger sibling home every day, and today her good deed is rewarded. But she was worried she did something wrong.
Yeah, I was kind of scared. I'm like, what did I do?
The program is about making a positive impact with kids, but it can impact officers too.
As an officer, you always want to make that positive impact on someone. And the earlier you can do it, and the more consistent you can do it, it's a good feeling. It's a great feeling.
Organizers hope this program will create a positive foundation with kids. In Federal Way, Tom Yaswinski, Q13 News.
You know, this is really great because we partner with the business community, and we got some young people in the audience. I would tell you that if you see an officer, ask for a positive ticket. And here, some of the businesses that are partnering with us, Wild Waves, you know, free admission pass, Century Theater, Commons Mall, $10 gift certificate, Patterson Skating Rink, Sub-Zero. So those are some of the businesses. No cost to the taxpayers, but it's great to partner with the business community to do something positive in our community. We're holding our second annual Youth Academy, one day with the Federal Way Police Department. Teenagers 13 to 17 will learn about what a full-service law enforcement agency does. And the second day, they'll spend with South King Fire and Rescue. It's a great opportunity, kids, it's a career development or opportunity to go through, and it'll be a lot of fun for them. So if you know someone, you have a teenager or you have a grandchild, please. And there's handouts here of the PowerPoint, so you don't have to write anything down. All the information there for you. If you contact Lindsay Spree, we'll cook you up. My understanding, there's still few seats left. Next, National Night Out. It's scheduled for August 1. This is a great opportunity for you to get to know your neighbors, network, meet some elected officials, meet with police and fire officials. So if you're thinking about doing a barbecue, National Night Out, Fight Against Crime. This is a great opportunity for your neighbor to host a party. And we'll come by, and motorcycle officers will come by if you get really lucky, the K9, so forth. The kids absolutely love it. You'll definitely get the fire department to come by as well. So August 1, the information is there. And the Citizens Academy. It's a 9-week program, and I know it seems like a huge commitment, but people who have gone through have really enjoyed the Citizens Academy. You get to learn a whole lot and to partner with the police department. So if you're interested in that, we'll be taking application in January, and the class will be held in spring of 2018. Get to try on a bomb suit, ballistic shield. And then one thing we do, partner with Federal Way Cares for Kids, and we do fundraising, and last year we contributed about $7,000 to this organization. So we provide Christmas gifts to children and families, and we support about 250 families in the Federal Way School District. We partner with the school district with this. So if you like to volunteer, great. You can go to the website, sign up. If you'd like to make a donation, you can do it on the website. We take credit card, or you can just contact Executive Assistant Lynette Allen, and she'll take your donations. But that's one way you can contribute to a very good, worthy cause. Okay, so if you want to follow the police department, you can follow us on Facebook or on our Twitter. And Facebook, we have about 6,000 people that follow us on Facebook. So if you're interested in following us, please do that. We're always continuing to expand our communication with our citizens. And Twitter is more for if there's an accident, road closure, something merging issue that's going on, we put out information on our Twitter account. And then Safe City program. Our crime analyst prevention specialist will put information out. If there's a crime trend or something you should be aware of, public safety issue, that's a good way of getting information without all the chatter that you might see on social media, right? You bring up the topic red and everybody wants to talk about blue, black. It goes all over the place. If you want some organized information from the police department, that's 3 ways that you can follow us. Crime statistics. This is reporting District 16, and we'll start at the bottom there. Total. Our crime is down, and there's so many variables to why crime numbers fluctuate up and down, but I can tell you that this year, for some reason, our crime, there's some good police work being done too, but our crime is significantly down this year compared to 2016. So if you look at the total number for 16 and 17, 70 total crimes in this reporting district versus 58, and this is January to end of May. So if you look at some of the numbers here in this reporting district, last year there were 3 burglaries, this year 1. You look at theft is down 21 to 10, and the bottom line is the property crimes this year are particularly down. Now, persons crime is flat, maybe even up a little in certain areas, down, but bottom line is property crime is down significantly. It's down 17%. And non-criminal reports, non-crimes, just domestic disputes and other types of crime, that's also down 49 to 30 in this reporting district. So it's Decatur High School South. So I told you about Sector 1, that's the green color there. It's west of First Avenue. When you look at the numbers here, we'll start at the macro number at the bottom. Last year, for first 5 months, 1205 versus 10,027, which is down 15%. And if you look at, numbers get bigger, so you look at the burglary, up by just 9 there. You look at assaults are down at the top. It's in alphabetical order. There was 1 homicide last year, same thing this year in this reporting sector. So theft is down significantly, 320 to 249. Auto theft is down. Okay. And again, we're down 9% on non-criminal reports that officers filled out. And then our overall city. Just to give you, our city it's growing rapidly. We were the 5th fastest growing city in the state of Washington. So I think Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue, there's one other city and then us. So we are growing rapidly. We see that in the business community. We see that in just sheer population. And that would contribute to increase in crime in 2016. Our community was growing. And our community is still growing. But the bottom line is our total from January to May compared to last year, our total crime in the city of Federal Way is down 9%. Okay? And I have more details if you're really interested in that. But I'm very pleased to report our crime numbers are down. Our people are working hard. We're partnering with other jurisdictions. We're partnering with our citizens through Safe City and having impact. We can't be everywhere. We need people to report suspicious activity, and quite often that's how we end up catching criminals. And you know what's going on in your neighborhood, whether it's a marijuana house or somebody who doesn't belong there, somebody's carrying a TV on their back. Those are the kind of things that should prompt a 911 call. We want to check them out. Okay? So reducing gun violence. One of the things that we're doing is we're part of a regional task force that focuses on drug enforcement. What we've done here is we focus that group to focus on gang and gun violence. So we just kind of shifted. If there's a drug nexus, that's great. But that's one thing that we're doing. We're shifting these detectives that encompasses detectives from South King County, DEA, Washington State Patrol. We're asking them to work gang and gun violence, and they're making some good arrests, having a positive impact. And there's other task forces in the region that are also working gang and gun violence as well. Another thing that we're doing, we're partnering with the King County Prosecutor's Office. If we know that someone is prolific, that we know that they belong to a certain network, and they're a priority within that network, if we make an arrest on that person, even for an auto theft, because they're on this priority list, we ask for aggressive prosecution, exceptional sentence, and we're pursuing that, and that'll be ongoing. And we're continuing to review data. We're looking at top offenders within Federal Way and pursuing those individuals that are responsible for violent crimes. And we're having positive impact there. Also, Intel sharing. We're sharing intel with King County Sheriff's Department, agencies in the South King County, because criminals don't know boundaries. They go, right? They go to different places. So we're sharing intel, and our detectives and our officers are finding that extremely valuable. So we're having bi-weekly meetings, and there's daily sharing of intel information that's going on now. So that's another thing that we're fine-tuning and improving as a law enforcement community. And then when we have a violent crime, we shift our resources, we prioritize to catch the offenders. Earlier this year, we got hit with some gun violence. We had 3 gun-related homicides. I can tell you that because of the exceptional work by our detectives and our special operations unit, we've solved each one of those gun-related homicides and arrested the offenders. And so this time last year, we had 5 gun-related homicides. Even with gun-related homicides, we're down by 2 this year. Okay? And we're hoping to continue that trend. We use science, we use crime analyst data, regional intel meeting to put our resources, or whether we target a particular individual or maybe a home, we use data to direct our resources. And that is ongoing. And you saw the reporting district, you saw the sector, you saw the city, and a lot of times that's how we look at crime, is say, hey, crime's up on the sector 1, what's reporting district? We just narrow it down. And now who's responsible? So that's the part that we're responsible for. And then we're hiring more officers, and we're also expanding safe city cameras. We have about 60 cameras within our city, and we have volunteers at times monitoring the cameras. And when we have incidents, officers are looking right at their laptop and calling things out, because they can zoom into a location and they can, that type of thing. So we use our safe city camera for that. And it's also a communication tool. I call it the electronic block watch, where we can communicate with our business community and our residents. Now, enforcement is not the only way we're going to be able to address all the issues in terms of, gun violence and crime and so forth. So we partner with other organizations, Suburban King County Coordinating Council on Gangs, Federal Way Youth Action Team, Violence Prevention Coalition recommendations. There's other parts that's going to need to occur for prevention. We're not going to be able to arrest our way out of the problem, right? I mean, you've heard that phrase before, but we're going to need to do other things other than law enforcement. The other thing that we want to work on, and we work with public health, is safe storage saves lives. Quite often, it's always about guns being stolen, being committed by crimes, but quite often we go to suicide calls where a teenager or an adult has taken their life. Maybe if the gun was locked up, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So we're doing campaign. There'll be more information coming out about locking up your guns. And I would tell you this, evening news, news coverage is really only going to quite often cover crime, okay? It's the low-hanging fruit, and everybody can relate to crime and the fear, and that's what people want to see. How many of you go by an accident and not take a look, right? You all take a look and it slows down traffic, right? What I'm going to tell you is this. For all of you here, the biggest threat to you is every day when you get into your car and drive. Statistically, if you're not involved in crime, you're not involved in selling drugs and you're networking with criminals and what have you, all of you in here and your family, the biggest risk to you in terms of getting hurt or killed is a traffic accident. And traffic accident, distracted driving, and so forth is a growing problem. It gets some attention, but not nearly as much as crime. For an average citizen, your greatest threat is traffic accidents. So this summer, if you have grandchildren, teenagers, talk to them. Because right now, we're asking Amir to publish a story about safe driving, teen driving. But statistically, injury accidents and fatality for teenagers skyrocket after graduation. So we want to try to prevent some tragedies in our community. But I wanted to mention that because we put so much emphasis on crime, and that's what people want to hear. But on the other hand, the silent killer for most people are traffic accidents, so be careful out there. So that concludes my statement, and I'll answer some questions for you later. Thank you.
Thank you, and for those who may not have heard the background as a result, she was asking about the Violence Prevention Coalition findings. Recall that after the homicides that occurred last year, we put together the Violence Prevention Coalition. We got a broad base of community members together on that. They worked for a long time. They came up with a number of recommendations, and so we're really working our way through. The question was about, are we going to actually implement these? And the answer is yes, we will. It's a matter, it's going through our Public Safety Committee right now, we're going to, as the chief said, and we're going to be looking at, some have budget implications, some don't. Some are low-hanging fruit and we can implement. But the council's going to be looking at this and we'll be working in tandem. Yarden Weidenfeld from my office, who's our senior policy advisor, is working with the council and working to make sure that we can address those. Okay, thank you very much. All right, and now, Brian Davis.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I'm a relative newcomer, so quick introduction of who I am. Brian Davis, I'm the Community Development Director. And years ago, when I started my career in city planning, I was writing policies that would affect homeowners and citizens, for better or worse, depending on your perspective. And if they had a problem with it, this little kid writing these fairly substantial land use policies, if they had a problem with it, they had to go through about 3 different agencies and then 5 different levels of installation before they eventually got to me. And I was sitting there one day writing these policies, and I thought, this is not what I want to do. I am a people person. I want to be with the people. And I was talking to a coworker about it, and he said, well, that means you're going to be going to those town hall meetings where they meet in high school gyms, and you're going to be talking to people. And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, yes, that is what I want to do. So your dream come true. So we're here to talk about, among other things, multifamily housing. It's one of the big concerns that we have heard as a staff and also the mayor and city council. And so we wanted to provide a brief presentation to you tonight on some of the issues. Why are there so many apartments going up in the city? It's congesting our roads, it's overcrowding the schools, they can't handle it, it's creating a bigger impact than they have the funding to expand or staff the students, crime, a number of different complaints. And so one of the first steps that the city took was to enact a moratorium. In other words, that there was no multifamily developments allowed for a period of time. It started last June. It ended earlier this month, which basically was a timeout for developers. It says we need to discuss this issue. We need to set a few goals and some new standards for if we have any future developments, what can we do to make sure it's the type of growth that we want as a city. So again, the moratorium was to slow the pace and to require better standards from what we're seeing, so that we don't end up like this building. Does anyone recognize this building, by the way? This is in Seattle. I think it's called the Ballard House. So we didn't want, and this serves a purpose. Obviously, it's a good residential building, but as far as the image goes, it's not something that Federal Way citizens wanted to become. So we wanted to make sure that, if there's a change, that we did not become like that. So during this moratorium time, we got together with citizens, with our city commissions, our Land Use and Transportation Committee, and our city council, and we talked about different standards that we could implement for any new multifamily developments. And they centered around quality of construction, improving the safety of the citizens of Federal Way, and then also the compatibility. If there's a new development that goes up, how is it going to affect surrounding neighborhoods? So we wanted to make sure that, again, if there's any new developments, that those 3 things were kept in mind. So outdoor amenities was a big talking point because some of the multifamily developments, the tenants they didn't have outdoor amenities immediately on site property, and so they were seeking entertainment, different various forms of entertainment on neighboring properties, and that was affecting neighborhoods in some cases, a negative way. And so we wanted to provide for amenities on site that allowed tenants to enjoy their residence and still be able to go outdoors. So open space, here's a few other examples. I think playgrounds, gathering areas, picnic tables, even swimming pools were things that were incorporated in some of the standards. And likewise, we wanted to provide, we live in the Northwest, we wanted to provide some indoor amenities that were also provided residents who couldn't afford a big house or whatever, to be able to have, again, opportunities for entertainment or diversion that were not necessarily in their units, but within the complex. And so again, here's examples of an indoor swimming pool, workout room, playroom. Again, these are all things that we incorporated on site for indoor basketball court, a nicely designed lobby. These are all things that we incorporated for any new developments that happened in Federal Way. I mentioned the schools earlier, and another thing that we did was to change the impact fees. And I've highlighted the one that we're specifically talking about. So for any new multifamily complex that goes up, the per unit school impact fee used to be around, I believe it was around between $1,000 and $3,000, if I recall correctly. It was much lower than the number that you're seeing highlighted there, above $9,000. And so that was something that we worked with the school district on to say, okay, we know that you're experiencing a lot of students in your schools as a result of new developments that are going in. How can we help you? And they came back and they said, this is how you can help us. One way you can help us. So the multi-family impact fee went up, and you can kind of see in comparison to other cities in the region that we are quite high. And that, again, was a deliberate effort to accommodate or to help the school district for any new apartments or multifamily units that go up so that they can be better prepared to receive the students. Likewise, our single-family impact fees are among the lowest. Again, if you're looking at this strictly from a economics point of view, from a developer standpoint, Federal Way is sending a message that we want to make sure that future multifamily development is accounted for through the schools, and that single-family development is also encouraged. And you can see some of the opposite in some of the other cities. Like, for instance, Kirkland and Redmond are the direct opposite of where we're at. They have plenty of, as would indicate by these fees, plenty of single-family development, and they want multifamily development more than they've been able to provide for in the past. Many regard those cities as underperforming when it comes to multifamily development, and these fees reflect that. So one of the other things that we'll get into later, but I wanted to mention real briefly, is that the issue of multifamily housing has to do with not just the zoning or the development standards or school impact fees that I've just talked about, but it has to do with economic development, the jobs that are available in the city. And just a quick example here, this is a vacant office building. It was one of Weyerhaeuser's old buildings since they moved to Seattle. And we've just spoken to a company that's in another city, and they want to move to Federal Way, specifically this building. And so there are efforts being made by the city to provide more jobs and more employee opportunities within Federal Way, so that it's not just a place for people to live, but to work and play as well. And speaking of playing, there was also, we'll talk later about some of the redevelopments in the downtown area that are taking place right now. And we'll get into those later with the Performing Arts Center and other efforts that the city is making. When I was looking, I'm 7 months into the job. And when I was looking at different cities, I was being recruited by different cities, Federal Way being one of them, and I was looking at other cities. And the thing that caught my attention about Federal Way is that it was it was not a sit and wait city. A lot of cities will say, well, we need to, our public safety is priority, which ours is as well. We need to provide for roads, which ours is as well. And that was the end of it for a lot of cities. We just have the time and energy to do public safety and roads. If you want anything else, the market will take care of it. And Federal Way, I've observed, is a very, it's not a sit and wait city, it is a go and do city. And that's what attracted me to coming here, is that I could tell that the city wanted to make positive impacts. We're a changing city, but I could tell that we were going to be a change in the positive direction. I could tell that by meeting a lot of you in the interview process and meeting with the mayor and council and staff, and I could tell that right away, and that's what attracted me here. So I look forward to working with you on these changes that we've talked about, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end as well. So thank you.
And now Marwan Saloom on Public Works.
Thank you. My name is Marwan Saloom, the Public Works Director for the city, and I'm going to give you a very quick presentation as what's going on in town from a construction perspective in 2017 and 2018. So the map here and the list of the project highlight what's going on, and I'm assuming if you're driving around the city, you're seeing some of the construction going on. The first item we have is our successful program of asphalt overlay. And as you can see on the map, some of the location of the asphalt overlay is Hoyt Road. And we've been getting a lot of concerned citizens complaining about what's going on Hoyt Road. It's been under construction for a long time. Just to clarify what we normally do with the overlay program, we notify all of the residents who live on that street that if there is any connection they want to make into the utility. As an example, if you do not have gas and you want to connect to the gas main, this is the time to do it before we start the overlay program. And we also notify all of the utility who have a franchise within the city. And in this particular case on Hoyt Road, Tacoma Water decided to replace the water main on the entire length of the project, which is a good thing. We don't want them to do it after we overlay the roadway. We want them to do it before. So they started in September of last year, and it took them a while. It took them from September all the way to April to complete that project, and that's when we took it over, and now we are overlaying it. With the weather, there was some delay. We were hoping to finish today. We are not able to finish today with the paving, so tomorrow and Friday, the forecast is rain, so hopefully Monday we'll come back and finish all of the pavement on Hoyt Road. The other two projects on the overlay list is 336, Southwest 336, and 10th Avenue between Campus and First Avenue. That will be happening in the next 30 days. The next project we have is Steel Lake to Downtown Trail project. This is a project that's located right there, right in front of Steel Lake. On the south side, we'll be constructing a sidewalk from almost 312 to the entrance to the park. So that project will start construction July 1st and normally take about 60 days to complete. The third project on the list is Pacific Highway South that started in September of last year. Those type of projects, if you have seen the other phases on Pacific Highway, normally take about 1.5 to 2 years to complete. It's very complicated project. We normally underground all of the overhead utility, and that normally about take 6 to 8 months to complete before we're able to modify the drainage and widen the road and so on and so forth. We are anticipating that project will be completed of June 2018. So you're going to be dealing with the construction on that project for a while. 356 between Enchanted Parkway and Pacific Highway, that project under construction. The contractor moving very aggressively. We are anticipating that project will be completed by the end of August. So that will be completed and done, and we are not dealing with construction on that particular area. 21st Avenue sidewalk improvement. This is right next to the Town Square Park. It's a sidewalk project, put in sidewalk on the west side of 21st Avenue. It's under construction. We are anticipating by the end of July that project will be completed. And Marine Hill area, that we have drainage facility that being retrofitted and improved by inserting a pipe into all of the infrastructure that we have there, the piping system that deteriorating, and the quickest way, it's not the cheapest way, but the quickest way to get it done without an impact to the citizens is for us to insert a pipe inside the pipe, and that's what's happening, and that project should be completed by the end of August. Going to the 2018 list of projects, definitely we have the overlay program that we have on a every year basis. The adaptive traffic control system, and that's the area I would like to expand on a little bit. The city of Federal Way were able to receive a grant in the amount of $2 million from the federal government to do some improvement within the downtown area. I will expand on this one here. I have the next slide that's showing all of the location where we'll be able to provide some improvement to those signals, where we will be able to communicate with each of those signals from the office, where when we have a gridlock and we have a traffic backup, somebody in the office will be able to look at a video system and be able to see exactly what's happening on the roadway and make the necessary adjustment necessary to get that gridlock moving. Find out a way to adjust the timing on those signals and move the traffic in the direction where it take that gridlock away. As I said, I will expand on that in the next slide. Pacific Highway, as I mentioned earlier, will be under construction in 2018, and hopefully by June of 2018 it will be done. 21st Avenue Grand Staircase. This is a pedestrian connectivity project that is going to be constructed to provide pedestrian path between South 316th and South 314, right next to the PAC area. So that project is under design right now, and construction for that project will start in 2018. Military Road at 298, this is a project that also we receive a federal grant for. It's going to be a small, compacted roundabout that constructed at that intersection. This is an adaptive traffic control system. As you can see, the two major areas we have is the downtown area, the city core, and as you can see, almost every signal within the city core will be retrofitted with software and hardware where we are able to communicate with those signals from the office. The second half of the project will be all of the signal on Pacific Highway and Enchanted Parkway. And as I mentioned, this project anticipated to start design this year and hopefully construction 2018, 2019. And what you're seeing here, the person in the office will have something similar to this. We don't have that system already in place. This is from other municipality, where you're looking at multiple TV screens and you're able to see exactly what's happening at those intersections and making the necessary adjustment to move traffic in the direction that they need to go. That's conclude my presentation. I'll be more than happy to answer any question toward the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marwan. You know, I've been hearing from a lot of folks that it's taking, especially for the folks that live on the west side of town, a lot of time to get from your homes to the freeway. And I think this adaptive control system and that control panel is going to be a big deal. We actually, I don't know if Marwan said it, I don't know if I got it, but we got a $500,000 grant for that, that we're matching as well. So that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Oh, that's right, $2 million. That's better. All right. So you guys, we want to get to you, so I'm going to go real fast through my presentation. I just want to hit a couple highlights, okay? So this is what we're doing in the city. When we first, about 3.5 years ago, this is what your downtown looked like. It was a pile of rubble with a cyclone fence around it. It is important to go back and take a look at where we've come and where we're going. So this was, this area right here is where now the Town Square Park is, and again right there. This is where the old movie theater was in our downtown. This is what Town Square Park looks like now. And this is the investment. This park belongs to you. It belongs to your children. It belongs to the community, and it'll be there for decades and decades to come. The fun part here, and I just want to thank the council. Let's give the council a big round of applause for their leadership on this. I'm really excited about the Splash Park. John Hutton and his parks team have really, you guys, we designed this in-house. And this is something that is just absolutely fantastic. And we've got green vegetative roofs, and I could talk about this. I love to talk about the park, and it's a great place we're going to gather to. Now we've got a downtown to drive to instead of through. 4th of July. So we usually have more than 20,000 people at Celebration Park. You're all invited. John and I have been working on the soundtrack for the music that the fireworks are going off to, and it's just going to be a great festival, great music, great time. So make sure you plan for the day and come on down. We're really transforming our downtown. This picture right here is where we broke ground on the Performing Arts and Event Center. Just in, I believe it was October of 2015. It's just really gone by fast. That's what it looked like not too long ago. This is what it looks like today. Your Performing Arts and Event Center is just about completed. We've got Teresa Yvonne. We've raised over just about $24 million toward the construction of this facility. It's $32 million. We're anticipating and we're working on getting that $2 million from something called New Market Tax Credits. That's going to take us to about a little over 23.5, but closing in on $24 million that we've raised for this facility. So remember you guys just heard about the grand staircase, and I saw a couple puzzled looks. The grand staircase is going to go right here. The hotel that we're working on right now is going to go this way, and we're in the final stages of negotiation to put a hotel that we're going to sell the property, and a private developer will build the hotel. The hotel is going to go here, and then we're going to punch a staircase here to create a sense of place. And then the old Target will eventually get knocked down. We're going to sell that property and redevelop that property. So that's really what's happening in your downtown. You won't even recognize downtown in just a few years. The university, we signed a deal, we inked a deal with the University of Washington, Highline College, and the Federal Way School District to bring a higher education presence to our downtown. And this was when we signed that MOU. And we're literally in the process right now of nailing down the exact location for preliminary offerings or what's going to be taught and about where. So there are different subcommittees working on that. Public safety, as you heard, obviously, we've had some regional gang issues. One of the things that I want to talk to you about is that I pulled together with the co-chair, the Auburn mayor, Nancy Backus. She and I co-chaired a meeting of all of the police chiefs and all of the mayors and all of the city managers for South King County after that most recent homicide off Pacific Highway and Dash Point Road. That was a regional gang issue, and we needed to make sure that we're all on the same page about this. And now we'll be meeting regularly with all the police chiefs, sharing that information. It's that kind of information sharing that allowed us to crack that case and prosecute everybody involved and charge and get everybody involved in that case arrested and charged. And that's the kind of collaboration and cooperation we need. As a result of that, though, we've retasked our Valley Narcotics Task Force into something called Vegan, which instead of just focusing on narcotics interdiction and intervention, we're focusing on violence prevention. It's the Valley Enforcement Gang and Narcotics Unit. So it's really focusing on gangs and guns. And that's really where we're focusing our attention and making sure we've got that information sharing. We talked about the VPCSC, that's the Violence Prevention Coalition Steering Committee, and they came forward with very specific recommendations, and those are working their way through the system. The whole goal here, we work for you, so the whole goal is to make your city safer. We've got the additional officers. First thing we did a couple of years ago was add 5 officers to get us to 131. Now we're adding, we'll add several more this year, and then we're applying for COPS grants that's federal COPS grants for an additional 5 officers in addition to the 2. So we could be in addition to 7 more officers. So that's what we're up to. I just talked to the chief about making sure that our application for that is in. New businesses involved Northwest Renal Care, Uniglow, Cogent, and so we've got just in the past couple of weeks, we've got hundreds of new employees coming to the city of Federal Way. And city initiatives, we're working on the homelessness and day center. So I won't belabor the issue right now. We are working on making sure it's a multi-pronged process Let me show you that picture. That picture was taken off Pacific Highway, just south of, everyone knows where the Burger King is, off Pacific Highway. That was just south of there. That debris field went on for acres. And so we had a situation last March where myself and the chief and a deputy chief and Steve from my office trudged into the woods just north of Steel Lake because several propane tanks had exploded. And we had a debris field probably about 5 times this size in a wooded area north of Steel Lake. We've cleaned that up. We're cleaning different areas up in town because this is just absolutely unacceptable. And so that's one of the things. That's one prong of addressing the homelessness issue. The second prong is the day center and making sure that it's a tragedy when someone's homeless and it's desperate. And we need to make sure that we respond with some compassion. And that's why what we're doing right now is providing care, compassion, referrals, and making sure that we're providing people with services and connection to services. And then the third piece of it was I initiated a Homeless Mothers and Children initiative, make sure that children and their parents and their mothers don't get separated, and making sure when it gets bitter cold out there that there's a place to go. And I would like to thank Councilmember Susan Honda and co-chair Sherry Edwards for their work on the Homeless Mothers and Children initiative. They're great work on that, and we all appreciate their work to make sure that people have shelter when they need it. So, and then also, we're working on airplane noise. Please know that we've put together a commission on this, or a city initiative, and we've got some great volunteers and people that are working on that issue. It's a complicated issue to get your arm around because it's multi-jurisdictional. There are a lot of legalities, but we're approaching it in a very, very comprehensive, cogent way to make sure that before SeaTac Airport increases its flight patterns by 40%, that we have a say and that our quality of life is not detrimentally affected. So we're zeroing in on this right now before you've got to get ahead of these things. Otherwise they get on top of you and us as a community. So we're really working on that right now. The number of flights from SeaTac could dramatically increase, will dramatically increase. And we've got to make sure that South King County, especially Federal Way, is not detrimentally affected. So we're going to be linking up arms with our regional partners and our community members working on that. So now, this is the most important part of the evening. We'd love to hear your comments.
Okay, you mentioned a figure of $24 million for the Performing Arts Center.
So we've got about $21.5 million right now. Once we get the new market tax credits at $2 million, that's going to take it to over $23.5 million. So we're closing in on about $24 million.
Okay, how much more is needed? And if you don't get that funding, what happens next?
Well, when we put together the Blue Ribbon panel 3 years ago, we planned for that contingency. And we planned that, number one, the balance would be about, once we've got 24, the balance would be about $8 million. We have the funds, the liquidity available to loan ourselves for 3 years. Up to about $12 million. We're not going to need the full $12 million, but we have the ability to loan ourselves this money. And then at the end of those 3 years, we're working on getting that balance down. We still have naming rights outstanding. So naming rights, new market tax credits. So naming rights could be between 3-4 million, and that'll get that balance down. So we're working on getting that balance down. And the idea is to get that balance down by the 3 years, and then whatever payment left. See, most municipal facilities, like our community center, the entire $20 million of the community center was bonded. We didn't raise all this money. We just bonded $20 million. So what we have done with this facility is raised, 2/3 of the money for this. And so whatever is left at the end of 3 years, we would have to bond and pay for, on a per year basis. So but we've planned for that. We can afford that. We've budgeted that.
So my issues or questions are all roughly related to the same thing, which is what type of demographic is moving into Federal Way. You talked about a moratorium on multifamily housing, but we just put up a huge multifamily housing right across the street from Safeway on 320th.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, is there a moratorium or isn't there a moratorium on it?
Well, there was. Hold on, I got to clear my throat.
It's okay. And I guess my biggest concerns are what kind of people are moving in there? Is it a low-income thing? Low-income housing usually brings more crime with it.
Right.
You know, and these homeless that you guys have moved, where have they gone? Are we moving them through our city and out, or are they still shuffling around our city somewhere?
Well, I would say probably when I talk to your fellow residents and when I talk to people around this community, this has to be this is why I asked Brian to talk about it today, because this is one of the primary issues that we're hearing. And I think that we should probably unpack that a little bit and untangle that about what kind of people. I think what we're talking about is what's happening to our community. And why is this happening? Why do we have so many multifamily housings coming in? Let me just say, first of all, we had 1,000 units hit our city, apartment units hit our city within 1 year. We had Park 16 down at 356th, over by Beamer. Then we had Kitts Corner on 336th. And then we had, Uptown off, and Uptown I think is really what got people very concerned because it's the most visible. We had a lot of calls for service up at, down at Park 16, police calls. And we had concerns that the screenings that were going on when they allowed people to move in, but these permits had already been in place and they were working their way through. It was all one company that had put in 3 units. It was Devco. And so one of the things we wanted to do, once we realized the full wave that was coming and the impact it was having on the schools, that's when I recommended to the council that we put a moratorium in place. So the moratorium was in place for a year. You can only do it for 6 months. I actually had somebody ask me the other day, why not have a permanent moratorium on multifamily housing? We can't do that. It's not legal. We would likely be sued if we tried to do that. We do want a mixture of housing, but we've got to make sure that it's proportionate and that it doesn't overwhelm certain areas of our town. That's why we did the design standards. The other thing is, I think the impact fee will have a profound effect on it. We can't do anything about it. We can't go back. We cannot reverse time. But I think we want to have control over what our city looks like in the future. And that has to do with not only design standards, but it has to do with, do we want to be a city of just apartments? And we want that mixture. Yes.
Hi, Jim. Diana Hicks. My question also had to do with the homeless. We are one of the very few houses that back right up to Steel Lake Park.
Yeah.
And we have been entertained by a lot of things lately. I love the improvements that are happening, but we do need some limbing up of the undergrowth in the bush area along the residential fence lines, because now that they're doing the pathway down below, the friends are coming up and living behind our houses in the bushes.
Well, we've set up, we've got a cleanup initiative. Is Deputy Chief Steve Neal here? There you are. I put Deputy Chief Steve Neal in charge of that initiative cleanup. So if anybody is aware of an encampment or a site that looks like this or any kind of illegal camping or that kind of thing, give Deputy Chief Neal a phone call or just send me an email and I'll refer you to him. We'll get the site cleaned up and we'll get notice out to those folks.
Okay.
My name is Cynthia McEltan, and I live about a mile away from here. My son, I would be remiss if I didn't say my 9-year-old is too shy to get on the mic, but he wanted to make sure that when you tear down Target, the old Target, that you still find a place for Touch a Truck, because him and his crew like to go there.
Hear, hear. All right, you got it. Well, John is, we've got John Hutton. Touch a Truck is I've got a 9-year-old at home as well, and Touch a Truck is absolutely one of the real fun things. That's not going anywhere. It's just going to be about where we put it. Yeah, we'll find a place for it. Right, John?
Okay. So now my question was about during the moratorium on multifamily housing.
Yeah.
Did the city take a look at maybe doing neighborhood plan developments, urban planned areas where you actually potentially rezone some of the units or some of the land so that it is planned for what we want? Brian mentioned earlier that part of the reason, and hello again, Brian, good to see you, that he moved here was because the city was proactive.
Right.
And like we do with economic development, you can also do from a land use perspective. So we could do condominiums, we could do
cottage housing. I mean, that's, not to cut you off, Cynthia, but that's the idea. And that all comes down to zoning. And, zoning has financial implications, for the property owner. But I think that I'm thinking about, for seniors or for people that are looking for a particular place, maybe cottage housing as a particular area that we want to be looking at, where people can transition. Because, folks that I talk to want to maybe transition from that single-family household but maybe they don't want to go into the condominium and lose completely that autonomy. I know my mom didn't. So, it's a situation where everything comes down to zoning. That's really where the rubber hits the road on these housing issues.
I have a question about this ridiculous turf gang war that stretches all the way from Mexico, and now it's all the way up to Canada.
That's right.
Whether it's Dash Point and Federal Way,
Yeah.
Columbia City and Seattle, on and on,
Right.
it's out of control.
That's right.
The police departments locally, municipalities are doing a wonderful job, et cetera, but it's way beyond them. It seems to be reactionary. The people carrying the guns now originally were 18, 19 years old.
Right.
Now they're 13 and 14 years old.
And that's
part
the
of their initiation is to shoot anybody, somebody,
Right.
and you're accepted. It is only a matter of time before some innocent bystander or family in Federal Way or Seattle is killed, and then reactionary, they're incarcerated. They don't care.
Right. Right.
Okay? My question is, are the local police departments interfacing or demanding that the federal government get involved, whether it's the ATF or the DEA or whoever, because this has to end before innocent people get killed?
Yeah, thank you. And the answer to your question is yes. Actually, the part of what we did, I didn't put up there another piece of information. In addition to the retasking of the Valley Narcotics Task Force, one of the things that happened is the feds have been involved with these meetings of the police chiefs, and the ATF and the federal authorities have actually brought part of their task force down to South King County, because we've got that explosion in South King County. And I don't know if you heard the first part of this. There was a very important Seattle Times article just about 2 weeks ago now. There was the one in the Sunday edition, there was one a few days before that. And it was talking essentially about this issue, this effort that we're doing right now. I pulled together all of the police chiefs and all of the mayors and all of that to get ahead of this issue. And we're trying to identify high-impact offenders and making sure that we're identifying which particular gangs, where it's going out.
Hi, Mayor. My name is Michael Walker, and I'm here because my daughter was the teen that was assaulted last Thursday.
I'm sorry.
So I wanted to gain as much information as I can about the state of Federal Way. I've been here for about 23 years, and I want to get a shout out to the police chief, because from the time that I made that 911 call, his team have really rallied around and been in communication with me and my family. So I commend you and your team for that.
Thanks.
But it does bother me, because as I was looking at the stats that you were putting up there from 2016, 2017, knowing that for 2017, 2 of those categories my daughter has affected, and she was impacted by that. The robbery part and then the assault.
Right.
And so it does bother me. The gentleman was talking about the gang-related. So the makeup of the people, as we viewed the video, in my mind, you start to piece together, is this something that's potentially gang-related? This happened in a community. We live in a pretty nice community. It wasn't tore down. It wasn't the apartment complex. It wasn't any of that.
I drive by that location every day.
But literally, this crime happened on our doorstep, 150 yards from my home.
Right.
And so I am concerned about that. I am concerned that as a community, we don't do a better job of protecting and taking care of each other, looking out for each other.
Yeah.
If you don't even know the neighbor that lives 2 doors down, I'm telling you, as a community, that's a problem.
Yeah.
We've got to do better. And so when you see the situation that happened to my daughter, I just want you to know that it could have been your kid, it could have been someone else's kid. So when you are going through the community and you see something that perhaps doesn't look quite right, pause, take a moment. Don't just turn deaf ear and blind eye to things that are going on around you, because it does impact even those that we think that it won't. So I just wanted to give that to
you've done a great job as a father, as a parent. Thank you so much. You guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your questions.